My coworker tried to rob the museum where I work, but he did not know I have been guarding these artifacts for 500 years. I was pushing a mop through the hall of Imperial Rome when my coworker Pete decided to make another guess about my past. He thought I used to be a spy because I speak 7 languages and act mysterious. I just laughed and told him I was a janitor who liked history. I had been the overnight custodian at the City Museum for 20 years and Pete was just the latest coworker with a theory. None of them ever came close to the truth. It is true that I had a colorful past and my father ensured I was well-traveled and able to fight. I did not need to work for a living, but I loved the simple life and the history around me. My favorite place was the Hall of Medieval Europe. Pete and I pushed our mops past rows of rusted axe heads and old manuscripts. He stopped to admire a gleaming longsword from the year 1485. The placard said it belonged to a knight who fought for King Richard III at Bosworth Field. I told Pete that Richard was the last English king to die in battle and that old England died with him. Pete asked how I knew so much since the sign did not say all of that. I just told him I had been working there a long time. Then Pete did something insane. He used a stolen master key to open the display case and told me to touch the sword. He said we could steal it and sell it to a buyer he had lined up. He wanted us to live like kings. I told him to put it back or I would call the police. Pete sighed and pointed the blade at my neck. He said he needed the money and that he might even get paid extra for my blood. There was no talking him out of it, so I finally decided to give him an answer. I moved faster than his mind could comprehend. I took the sword out of his hands and struck him with a deep gash across his head. As he fell backward with blood streaming into his eyes, I looked down at my stained hands. None of my coworkers ever guessed the truth. They never knew that I rode with the House of York in the year of our Lord 1485. They never knew I was struck by 3 arrows while my king was butchered like a pig. They did not know I lay dying in the mud for 3 days until the dark things of the night found me and changed me. Pete stammered and asked what I was as he crawled away in his own blood. I carefully cleaned the sword and returned it to its rightful place. I grabbed Pete by his hair and pulled his face close enough to see my fangs. I told him I was just a janitor, but I used to be a knight, and I have been waiting a very long time for someone to try and touch my steel.